RC comes up and says, well, we may not have money, but we have money to give the leaders. The rest of the country is still struggling. There are people who we know who are not getting the 3 courses of meals per day because they cannot afford. Yet the MPs who earn quite, a substantial amount of money keep on getting more. Maybe this is what Jesus said: those who don't, those who have will be given, and those who don't, even what they have will be taken away from them.
It is true, Fred. Actually, I looked at it, and the same sentiment you have is exactly what I have. I know sometimes it's the laws that we have. Sometimes they bite you, that there are some things that you have to do. But I think looking at where we are in the country, it doesn't send a very good signal. When you start hearing that people are getting more money, actually 7 to 10% increment is quite huge. I was looking at the newspaper right now and looking at the monthly salary, especially like for the MP senators, around 725 basic. Then they have sitting allowances for 120,000. You see? Then they have actually the car maintenance. That is 356,000, and then they have the mileage 462. So this guy, at the end of the day, the money he is talking about is actually 1.6 million. And you are finding that there are so many Kenyans who are struggling. When you hear now there is a rise in terms of their pack, it really doesn't speak too well. So I think some of the laws that we have in this country, they need to be repealed. We look at them and ask ourselves, when the economy is where it is, do you really still talk about you want to do the increment and all these kind of things? Because I think it is like a slap, as you are saying.
It's actually a slap in the face.
Yes, it doesn't really sound good at all.
I mean, the whole, we're just coming from, and I would have loved to see the people who demonstrate, demonstrating against this.
Correct, that is the thing.
But because they are benefiting, we will not have any demonstration. Yet, this is money that is going to be gotten from us.
That is true. By the way, the taxes that we are going to be charged, you see, like the tax bill, the finance bill. When we generate this money they must be paid. So you see, the thing is, and that's why we say this demonstration and all that, it is not necessary. Because the leaders that we have, they drive their own agenda. They don't drive their agenda for Wajiko. So they are doing things, when they favor them, they are quiet. But when they don't favor them, they use Wajiko to be able to get to what they want. So there is no integrity in what the leadership of this country is doing. They just do things because they want, actually they are selfish. And when they say that we are doing it for Wajiko, this is a clear indication. It is not for Wajiko.
I don't see anyone Jiko here.
No.
I don't see anyone Jiko here.
No. They don't care. By the way, about Wajiko, they don't care. And why I can tell you they don't care, the time the government was talking about the hustler funds, that you can be able at least to start accessing some small monies, they had even told the people, don't pay. Take and don't pay. Then from the next, if you take and you don't pay, then the next day you cannot be able to access the funds again. So are they helping the Kenyans, or they are misleading the Kenyans people? And I think that is the serious problem we have in this country.
So in this particular case, even though SRC says it is the law, I mean, I would have expected, if we had true leaders, for them to come out and say, it is true, the law says that this is what is supposed to happen. Like what the president and his deputy has done. They've said, we won't take it. So I would have expected these so-called leaders who say they're fighting for us, at a time like this, when the country, people are struggling in the country, for them to say, yes, we are willing to push this. I know it's the law that says it, but let us push it. Let's defer it, so that when the things are better, we can be able to access this.
Correct. Actually, that's where we are saying there is actually where you are looking at in terms of the law of equity. You know, this is not equity.
No, it's not.
It is actually something which is totally different in the sense that, you see, there was a public participation. This public participation, you hear people today are saying, why is finance bill not good? Because we gave some ideas and people did not follow. But when it is coming to something, you know, even this one, before they effected the changes, there was a participation. And that's where you are saying the president and the deputy president, they were asked, and they said that is in terms of the structures. And they said, well, at this particular time, it is not good for us to be taking a pay rise when the country is where it is. Several people were actually asked the same questions, but they were silent about it. Why? It is because for them, they want to build their empires, and they don't want to care when they are building their empire, what is the effect on the other people? Because 20 billion, 29 billion, for it now to go again, this is a cost that you are putting on Kenyan people, because it is the Kenyan people who are going to fund this. It is actually something that we are saying, yes, it is like the way people say it is our constitutional right. It is their right. True. We don't disagree with it. But what we are saying, let's be considerate to the other people. When, as you started saying, and you started saying very well, there are people who are eating only one meal, and that meal they are eating is not even a balanced diet meal.
And by the way, it's not like they are trying to lose weight. They're not taking one meal because they're trying to lose weight.
Correct.
They can't afford.
Correct. Which is actually a situation which is not good at all. So we are supposedly to be looking. If we are saying we are one country, we are one people, you know, that's what we keep on saying. I think there really need to be a sixth sense, which tells you there are some things that you can say no to the good of the people. But right now, there is nobody to say no to the good of the people. If it is good for me, it doesn't matter. Whether it is good for you, or that. It is actually a situation, and I felt ashamed about hearing this kind of a thing.
Yeah, this was so sad, and it kind of connects pretty well with what is happening in Uasin Gishu.
Yes.
Where, you know, leaders collected money and they said they were going to take, you know, students.
Scholarship and such kind of things.
And then now we are having a situation where these students, and I love listening to some of the conversations that were going on when now these students are coming up and speaking out against the leaders. And they are quoting, telling the leaders, you took, your children are in the UK. You collected money from us.
Correct.
I am currently selling porridge. Yet we graduated at the same time with your child. It is very, very unfair.
Actually, that's where we are saying, you know, and that is where people need to be very careful about politics. Politics, and we said the other time, politics is concerned about prosperity. And many politicians are concerned about their own prosperity, which is a very bad thing. They don't care about anything. But leadership, it cares about posterity. What legacy are we going to leave within the next 20 years? So it looks at the kind of the structures, the foundations that we are going to have for the people who will even come later. And you see, I have seen some few leaders who have actually been so much concerned, political leaders, concerned about posterity rather than the prosperity. You remember, like many people may not remember, but there is like several people, actually several leaders, they have gone, some of them. But there are several things that they did which was against any other thing. For example, you find Wangari Maathai. This is someone who thought about Kenya many years to come. And she was concerned about the good of Kenyan people. And I remember one day looking at her being slapped, flogged, and all that, to the extent you are going to a lady, even you pull her hair, to the extent she was bleeding all over. But she fought the fight because she had the Kenyan people at heart. And she said, look here, you cannot bring buildings at Kalula. Why you cannot do it is because this is a recreational center for the people of Kenya. And she had to fight. And that time, it was not an easy time.
Oh, yes.
It was actually, it was a time. You can remember even Joya, moderator.
Yes.
Moderator Joya was clobbered severally. Because these are voices which actually spoke about the Kenyan people. They didn't really care about how much we are going to make. In fact, like Joya was not bothered about how much he is going to make. But he stood for the truth and he stood for the good of the people. And you can see what we are enjoying today as the recreational center at Karura, where all of us we like going and seeing the features, enjoying the cool air and all that.
It cost somebody's blood.
Yes, it cost her. And this is where we are saying, some of the people really said it cannot happen like this. The other thing that we can say, another leader, because we have good leaders, political leaders, but they actually people who sacrifice themselves and say, I look at Kenya and I want to see a good Kenya for me. You remember another minister who was actually John Michuki.
Yes.
John Michuki, it is the first time we started seeing sanity on the roads. You remember the laws were there about the standing passengers.
Yes.
But nobody dared to implement the same.
Yes.
But Michuki looked at the way the women were being, you are with
mishandled.
Mishandling. They are actually being, packed like cabbages inside the vehicles. And Michuki looked and said, wait a minute. We cannot allow our country to go this direction. He went to a Nissan 14-seater, and he goes there and he belts up, and they sit and go to a distance, and he said, this is what is going to be implemented. Today we are finding that people are being ferried from one point to another comfortably. It is only that some few areas now, again it is getting...
we are going back to
we are going back.
Manners.
Why? It is because the people, the leadership doesn't care. Another day you had, what is it that we were talking about? Because of the fuel, we are hearing a political leader coming and saying that let the vehicles be allowed to carry excess. You heard that kind of a statement, to carry excess. So that at least we are going...
They're able to cover the cost.
The cost that we are not going to consume in a lot of fuel.
Yes.
You know, when you look at those kind of statements, really, are we serious about what we talk about the people?
Now, when you look at all this, because I think the best example of a leader was Jesus Christ.
Correct, yes, that is true.
When you look at the way he treated his disciples and treated the people who are around him, what lessons can we be able to learn that we can pick and, apply in the situations that we are looking at now, our MPs, our leaders in Uasin Gishu, and all this?
You see, like now, there is one thing that Jesus talked about. You remember there is a time the disciples went.
Yes.
And they came, they found Jesus with the Samaritan woman. And they were actually looking at it and saying, Jesus, you must be very hungry, and all these kind of things. And they said, we have food for you, or we have actually they had gotten actually to get food. But Jesus looked at them and told them, my food is to do the will of God. You see, he already knew exactly what is my mission here on earth. And that's where we are saying the first thing that we need to learn is that we have a mission. And the leaders really need to understand, why have we been put in the responsibility we are in? There is something that we are supposed to deliver for the people. And that is the mission. Because when they were politicking, they gave us promises.
Yes.
Yet after they have gotten into the offices, they forget about those promises. They start fighting about our pay hike and this kind of a thing.
Yet Jesus says, with Jesus, my promises are yea and amen.
Correct.
I said it, I'm going to do it.
Correct. Yes. You see, like him now, what he was really interested in, he is actually first of all saying, what is it that I must do? And he had to do that.
Yes.
Number two, he gets to a people and he is told the crowd, they are very hungry.
Yes.
And Jesus looks at it and says, okay, we are going to feed them. And you see, even the disciples, they did not understand. How can you be able to feed this multitude of people? And they are saying, look, 5,000 people. And 5,000 men. Yes. And they are children and women who are not even being counted on this. Yes. And Jesus looks and he says, well, we'll feed him. And he looks at what is it that we have? And he sees a young boy who is just having very small. But Jesus prayed for it, and it actually increases. So it is, and he is able to feed the people, and even something remains in the process. So the thing is, we must be able to establish the need of the people. What is it that the people that we speak about, what is their need? Because if you don't realize the need of the people, you will keep on speaking. But Jesus looked for solutions, and he said, here there are people in need, and I must come in and satisfy their need. So do we have Kenyan leaders who are trying to satisfy the need of Kenyans? Because these are some of the things that we can learn from Jesus. He could establish there is a need, and when he sees there is a need, he comes forth and he tackles the need, and the people are happy. And we have seen that. We have seen even the people, like the woman who had the issue of blood. And Jesus says, someone has touched me. Power.
He's connected to the very individual needs of the people.
He is connected. And people are actually saying, they are saying, Master, there are so many people who are here. Obviously, you are not in your senses.
Somebody is definitely touching you.
He's going to touch you. But Jesus says, listen here. You guys who don't understand what I'm talking about. There is someone's faith that is connecting to exactly who I am. And this person, and when Jesus says that, this woman get healed. What we are saying is, people must connect. And the leaders must connect with the people. Just the same way, people are not realizing, but the leader is realizing. Here, it is not as business as usual. And this is where we are saying, like what we have seen this week, SLC. We are saying, are they connecting to the people really? When people read this newspaper, and next time you tell them, let's go to the street. Yet, at the end of the month, you are getting 1.6 billion in your bank account, and this guy is actually going not to get even a single meal. When you actually get them, and that is the problem we have with the leaders. It is because we even get some few people. I was so amazed, Fred, to see about something they call the hired goons. In these meetings that you go, there are so many people, and if you go, you will be able to realize who are the hired and who are the people who are on their own. The hired, one guy, he was saying, even when they are hired, do you know how much money they are given? 50 bob to a maximum of 500. And it is not daily. And sometimes you have to struggle. And this is the head. The people who are arranging the meetings are the people who are going to get, maybe if they are very lucky, 500 shillings. But now the questions we are asking, are you really helping these people, or you are destroying their life? Because Jesus was so concerned about the lives of the people. In fact, he sacrificed at the cross to the extent of him being put on the cross for our sins. Not that he was sinful, but he was actually doing that to pay for all our wrongs. What kind of a leader do we have who can say, I will sacrifice? And this is why we were saying, people like Akina Wangari Maathai, they knew the art, and they could sacrifice for the people. So in terms of leadership, the other thing we must learn, there is sacrificial.
Actually, almost all leaders worth their salt. You mention them. Mandela. Mandela had to stay in prison for
long time ago. Saizi ni kusubua, wanasubua. Wanasubua tu. Because what they were supposed to do, they actually did. The other person, that, as you have said now, also outside the world. You remember this lady, Mother Teresa? This is another person, and she actually got the leadership and many things in her mind. She was a teacher. From her small salary, there is a particular time she resigned, and she looked at the people in the street, and she realized the problem and the struggle that these people had on the street. And you know, she actually said, whatever I'm going to get out of my pension and everything else, I am going to touch the heart of few people. And she realized I may not do it for everyone, but at least there is a community here that I can do. But can you imagine when she started that, because that was her mission, and she actually realized this is my line. Today we keep on talking to her. How many people did she touch?
Oh, she touched millions.
Today we are talking about, even in Kenya, she has felt. In many countries, she has felt. Just one woman who had a mission. And this is where we are saying it is a disaster, a tragedy for you to be in political or in leadership when you don't know exactly what is it that you are called to do.
I actually remember listening to Miles Munro, the late, who was saying, the moment you don't know, number one, who you are and what you're supposed to do,
correct,
everything that you're going to do, you're going to be misusing.
Correct.
Well, it's like taking the camera that is right in front of us.
Sure.
That Waroi is, our cameraman, gentleman called Waroi is working on.
Correct, yes.
Taking that and using it as a broom. Basically, you don't know what.
Very misplaced.
Yes, it's very So we have leaders who really don't know why they came into that leadership position. They don't have a vision. If you ask them, so what is the end picture of you being here? They don't know.
They don't know, and we are seeing it. In fact, just some few days. You saw the performance report, even for the member of parliament, even Senate, every other person. You realized there are so many people who are doing nothing to this country.
And they are earning 1.6 million.
1.6 million goes to their pocket. Yet there are people, even you don't even know whether they are in parliament or they are in their farm. Because there is really totally nothing that they are doing. You get to the president, and he goes into the performance management meeting. He goes there, and he is so disappointed. He looks at his people, the troop, and he tells them, it is quite unfortunate that you, in your department, you don't know what is happening. Yet me, who is outside the department, I know what is happening in your department. And he says, enough is enough. Do you know why they are signing this performance contract? And that's one of the things that the president really talked to them. And he told them, this is not just a piece of paper. And you know when the president is telling you this is not a piece of paper, do you know what he is telling you? Is that heads are going to roll. Within a short time, there are people who are going to be changed. Because let me say, at the end of the day, there are some people who are put where they are simply because they helped in terms of the political, in getting us where they are. So they had to be rewarded for them to be where. But it has gotten to a point, even now the president has realized, some of these guys, they were not good enough for these positions. And therefore, what the problem that we are having right now is because they did not see the vision for the president in terms of the party and where the party wants to go and where he wants to take the country. They thought it is a time for us to be in government. It is a time for us to eat. It is a time for us to start now gaining what we lost through the process of the campaign. And that's why we are saying it is a bad situation. And that's why we are saying today we are struggling in this country because we have some few people in some positions who don't know where they are. And they cannot give you a plan of where they want to take this country. And I would say it is a point whereby we stop all these kind of issues that we are doing, just looking for people from here and there just to fill positions. It must get to a point whereby the leadership of this country must get to a point of saying, Fred is qualified for this job. It doesn't matter where Fred comes from. It doesn't matter whether he voted for me. Do you know, actually, even for the people you are rewarding, they never actually even voted for you. They were actually coming and trying to show we are with you. But they were moles. You have put them there, and they were not qualified for this position. So one of the things that we really need to do is actually, you see, like Jesus, the disciples, there is a point whereby for Jesus actually to come. Do you know, if you look at the disciples, Jesus had so many people, and he came narrowing down, even to the type of coming to 12. And even out of 12, he knew who can deliver what and who cannot deliver.
And who was a thief.
And who is a thief inside that name. So he was so clear about it. And one of the things that I'm saying, in terms of the leadership, these are things that we need, because Jesus is our best leader. The things we need to learn. Even in the midst of all this noise, we must come down and look. What is it that Fred can be able to deliver? What is it that David can be able to deliver? Don't put David in a position because he comes from Mount Kenya. It doesn't help. I may be coming from Mount Kenya. The votes maybe came from Mount Kenya.
You're the most...
There is really nothing I can do in helping this country. Yet Fred has the idea. He has a bigger picture. The horizon is big. He can be able to see which areas do I need to handle? Which areas can I touch? And they bring a change in this country. So it must get to a point whereby we are going to get the right people for the right positions. And that is what should happen.
And now that you talked about that, I look at the situation within, you know, the energy sector in this country, where the cost of production is very high.
Correct.
When people are talking about, you know, the cost of living being high,
correct.
One of the key factors of production that is causing everything to become this high is energy.
Correct.
Now, a revelation is made yesterday in Parliament of individuals who have taken position within the energy sector. They are being paid 5 times.
I imagine.
5 times what KenGen pays Kenya Power.
Correct, yes.
To give us power. So there is absolutely no way we are ever going to be competitive. If this is the... And the pictures, the names are people who are known, and then we have shadowy figures here protected somehow by the law that was passed in 2017 that you cannot make them public. Meaning there is a possibility some of the people who are screaming loudest that the cost of living in Kenya is too high are actually the cause of the problem.
And it is quite unfortunate, I would say. And you know, 2016 is not a long time ago.
Yes.
So it is actually a point, 2016, we as Kenyan people, we were struggling.
Yes.
Yet they can be a leader who is going to come here, and even the justice, the judiciary and all this, and they can come here and
there was an attorney general who's supposed to protect.
In fact, they come here and they sign something they can. Do you know why they are signing? It is because there is what we call 80-20 rule.
Yes.
What does that mean? In fact, right now I should be talking about 90-10.
It's the prorata or porata.
Yes. Now 90-10, because we have actually even gone. Actually, for us, in terms of the rating, the world rating, we are not on 80-20 rule. We are on 90-10 rule. Do you know now?
Only 10%.
10%
are causing the
owns 90% of this country. Then the other 10%, the other 90%, we are struggling on a 10% of this country, which is a very bad thing.
You're saying 10% of the country is what all the Kenyans... Yes, 10% own 90% of the country.
Yes, 90% of the country.
And then the 90%
they are struggling on the 10%, which is a very bad scenario. You know why we are saying that?
Yes.
It is when you find some few companies, known people and unknown people.
Yes.
Because when they were actually giving the names, they give some few, unaona, one Kenyan, others unknown in other countries, in Germany, in so many countries, you are finding like that. And you know, what is happening now when we talk about that is what we call the capital flight. Capital flight in the sense that you are working for Kenya. The money that you are working for, it doesn't belong to you. It belongs to another, in another country. And that's why you find some of our leaders right now as we speak, they don't only own Kenya.
Yes.
they own other countries. Actually, do you know, the monies that we are actually going out there to look for,
yes,
we are saying that we need like around some few billions,
yes,
to fund some roads. There is a Kenyan who is seated here in Kenya who can be able to finance hii barabara yote hapa. They can be able to fund,
yes.
But you know what they are doing? They are actually looking for, if I am not in Kenya, if anything happens in Kenya,
yes,
I have another country.
They've hoarded their money out there.
Correct.
So that, I mean, for them, if anything happens to the country, they just board a plane, probably
the next flight, and they are there. And that's why you are fighting. How can it be that you are struggling with power, but there are some shareholders in Germany?
Yes.
There are some shareholders in Denmark, in Europe, who are actually the ones that you are saying 5 times there is no value for money.
Yes.
And you know, like for some few months, you realized you go and you are buying the token for electricity. You find the units that you get are diminishing.
Yes.
Every other day they are diminishing. But there are people actually who are not even worried about that. Yeah. Why? Because as they diminish, their pocket is becoming fatter and fatter. Yes. Which is a very bad scenario. And we have seen it. It is a very bad thing. And this is actually, you know, by the way, Kenya, why we are where we are in this country, is because from 1965, we started having corruption in this country. And
you want to say in 1960? Oh, 1965.
1965. I can tell you, the 1965.
Yes.
We started having, today we are talking about, you see this land issue?
Yes.
Do you know it started in 1965? Whereby someone, I was being told, someone used to go, because you know who you are. You are told, Fred, what you do? You want a piece of land? Yes. So now what will help you is your walk. Yes. You know, the steps that you make. Yes. You are told to walk from here, go where you get tired, you stop there. From there now you go like that. That is your piece of land. You have not paid any money. Yes. But from there you are allocated a piece of land. That is your piece of land. And that's why you hear people like Mau Mau people, they struggle. They say that we went to the forest. We were beaten and many other things. Yet today there is nothing for us to show. But I can tell you there are some few strategic political leaders who actually got to own Kenya at that particular time. They got so many pieces of land. And that's why you have always heard about they are saying land is emotive.
Yes.
It is an issue because you see, you are touching who is who. Yes. You are touching the 10% who own 90% of this country. Yes. So at the end of the day, you try to look at that and you realize here, there is a point I cannot be able to lead. You remember even another time. It was even in the news. What did you hear about okay, let me not mention names. But you heard about some companies which are out there. Yes. Owned by who is who. Yes. And you find you are talking about that people are not paying taxes. And those companies, the capital freight, the worst thing is that they are also not paying taxes on that. And you remember in the newspaper another time, people are actually talking about because there are some people who are not paying taxes. And they are in the top leadership. Yes. They are not paying taxes. So it is Wajiko who is keeping on. When you get something small, you go to the supermarket, you pay the 16% VAT. You go everywhere. Everything that you are actually buying, there is an element of the VAT. You go to the electricity, you are paying VAT. You go to something like even kerosene, you are going to buy, there is the railway development fund. Yes. And this railway development fund, you don't know. So you look at the so many taxes, but you get to hear a leader is actually like exempted. You heard? Yes. A leader actually exempted from paying taxes.
And in some cases, give themselves that exemption.
Correct. Yes. They give themselves those kind of things. So where we are saying is we have a serious problem in the sense that we are paying for things, but there is no value. Right?
Actually, take for instance, if we can go back to the power thing, I would love to know not only just the shadowy faces, but the individuals who penned, who signed those contracts. Because the contracts are completely against Kenyans.
That is true.
Complete. You cannot renegotiate them.
You can't.
If you break them, it's breach of contract. The amount of money that you will need to pay even seems cozier for you to pay whatever you're paying right now. Meaning these people had no country at heart. They need to be made ashamed.
Correct.
Made public so that we know this is the person who made us, who got us to this point where we are paying these amounts of money. So that if people are demonstrating, then let's demonstrate knowing we are demonstrating because so-and-so penned this.
Yes, correct.
At that time, the Attorney General, who is supposed to have been acting on behalf of the government to make sure that the contracts make sense, is so-and-so did not do his job.
Correct.
So that we have a face of the selfish and the corrupt in this country. Because surely, how do you enter a contract like that? Actually, it doesn't make sense at all.
Let me tell you that people are evil. And I would say there are many people who are very evil. And they need to remember one thing, that your soul and my soul, for me and for you, when it comes to the Almighty, there is no difference between you and me. You can do whatever you want to do. In fact, you remember, even there is one man who harvested a lot in the Bible. And he was so proud that at least now I can sit down. I can sit down and enjoy myself. And God looks at him, Jesus says, you are fool.
Yes.
Today.
Your soul will be required of you.
It will be required of you. There are some few things, Fred, that we are doing. And I don't want to say that only. But it is foolishness. There is nothing. It is stupidity, if I can talk in quotes. Because why am I saying that? It is because one day you will exit this world. When you exit, it doesn't matter how you will be buried. You can be buried with gold. You can be buried with every. I saw actually another video whereby I think it is in Nigeria, whereby people are buried even inside their vehicles, you know, and such kind of things. But whether you are buried even inside the BMW, Porsche, and every other thing, it doesn't really bring any change. You've gone and you have gone. And now that is where now we really need to sit down and rethink. Why is it that you want just to own the whole world? For what business? Because at the end of the day, when you go,
6 by 6.
6 by 6. That is all what will belong to you. And even that 6 by 6, after some time, you'll start depleting. The fresh goes. You are left with so small bones. The same process, just like for any other person. So what I am saying, there are some things it is foolishness. What we are trying to do. You are actually coming and signing things. And some laws, as you are saying.
You're enslaving your own parents, your own children.
Don't care.
It doesn't make sense. You signed that so that you will get whatever you'll get. But you're literally enslaving your parents, your kids, your children's children. By that signature, you have bound the entire country.
By the way, that is, and if the current government is serious, and that is exactly what you are saying, we need to get, the feasibility. We say, who was the Attorney General? Because it is actually, anything had to pass through the Attorney General.
He's the advisor to the government.
Who is this person? One, you realize, this Attorney General, he is a overqualified judge and all these kind of things to get into that position. So he needs to tell us, when he was signing this document, what is it that he was signing for?
What is the sense?
Correct. If it is not corruption.
And
that's what I'm saying. We can only say, unless he now justifies otherwise.
There was a gun to my head.
Actually, there is actually, and he needs to come out clean and say, look, I had to sign because there was no other way out. It is just like the way you are saying, and that's actually a sad state. You remember there is a time that former President Uhuru was at Mombasa. And one of the issue which was emotive, and it brought a lot of heat at that particular time, was actually to do with SGR.
Yes.
And there is a point whereby it got, and he was asked, are you mortgaging this country? And he said so many things, and he said, and he was asked, can you produce the documents? Because it is a Kenyan. By the way, all what is signed by the AG and all that, it is your property. It is my property. It should be brought to the open because I am the one who is going to pay for it. It is like in the bank you go and you are actually being told you'll be paying a loan. You must actually be given the document. If you want to lead, you lead. And you see exactly what is in this document. This is a property for Kenyan people. And I don't know even why. And that's why I'm saying there is a lot of corruption. I don't know why these documents cannot be produced for the Kenyan people to be able to see. Like the SGR, it was told this evening, you will get the documents. By tomorrow morning, every Kenyan will be able to lead. Did you see that document up to now?
No.
We are still struggling. And do you know actually why we are saying it's a serious thing? And these people, we need also to see people who are actually giving and giving, because they were saying, and they were being asked some few questions. What is your collateral? Because when you are being given such kind of loans that you are being given, there is actually something that you are being given as a collateral. And people started saying that the KPA has been given as a collateral for this kind of a loan. And do you know it is a serious thing? And why I am saying it's a serious thing, we have seen things happen in this country, and not in this country, in this world. Sri Lanka, my friend.
The whole port has gone.
And you know for how many years? 99 years. What does that mean? When you do the clearing, when you bring things, when you export things, the revenues that comes from there, it is going to China. And these are the serious things. When you fight people hiding like that. And that's why you are fighting like this government saying, well, we are where we are, but we have to pay the debt. Because they know the problem, the challenges, the consequences. Because they are the people in leadership right now. If we don't pay these debts, we are likely to go the China, the Sri Lanka way. And you know, I looked at something, and it is a worldwide rating. Which is called the Moody. Moody rating.
They were warning. They issued a warning.
And they have issued for Kenyans several times. And that's why you realized that there is a point whereby there was a delay in terms of the salary, the civil servant and all that, even disbursement to the counties. And the president said, look, these debts have to be paid. Whatever we have to do, we have to pay the debt. For us to pay the debt. Because you see, you have seen the traffic lights. The traffic light starts with green. It goes to amber, and it goes to red. When it is actually green, you have the freedom you can do. When they were assigning those things, because we were not paying debts at that particular time, there was a freedom. You could do whatever you want. Then as we continued increasing on the debts, because the issue is, the debt is not bad, but the question is, what is it going to produce? Those debts that we have right now are not producing the value that actually they were meant for. So it gets to a point, the amber, and it is telling you now, you are in green, but here you cannot start now driving the way you want. There is actually going to be, if you drive the way you want, you are going to knock on people, because red is coming. Do you know, actually, we are already at the tail end of amber.
We are almost getting into red.
We are actually getting into red. And that's why you are finding that the government is trying the best that it can. Because they know the consequences. That if we joke, we may be thinking that we have a port. I'm not saying that I know, because I have not seen the contract, but we are only saying this because we have no proper information. We've not been given the contract, because Kenyan people are dumped. We went to school, so we can be able to read and understand exactly. So let them give us the document so that we see, are we safe with our Mombasa port?
You know, one strangest thing is that one of the clauses that was put in the contract is that contract cannot be made public.
Which is, it's exactly, do you know why? How can you actually, you are saying, who are you signing for this contract?
Yes.
Isn't Kenyan people? How can you actually sign a loan for me without giving me the content of the same?
Yeah.
And that's why we are saying, even the person who is signing.
Yes.
Because you see, it means then that China is wiser than Kenyans.
Yeah, true. Or somebody was paid.
Or someone. That is
somebody was paid
Yes.
to look the other side,
Yes.
the contract. Now, as we are talking about China and and what's happening, there's a Pan-Africanism kind of movement that is coming into the continent.
Correct.
Where I've seen the president, William Ruto, basically talking about it. I've seen South Africans talking about it.
Correct.
And it's starting to gather momentum where they're saying we are being forced to do things by foreign powers that are actually working against us. Take for instance, if you go to Europe, the moment you get into any country within Europe, you can literally visit any country within Europe without a visa.
Correct, yes.
But in Africa, I still need a visa to come from this country to go to South Africa, to go to whichever country. And we have the most resources. As in, it's divide and rule. Keep them divided so that you can access their resources. I like what you said. When Jesus saw the multitude, he used what they had.
Correct.
It is what they had that was used to feed the rest.
Correct.
We are the richest continent in this world.
I can say 100%.
Richest. Every December, every summer, every winter, you have people coming to Africa because our weather is great.
Correct.
All companies are now coming to Africa, have been harvesting our resources. We have the resources, but we are not utilizing them. How, when you see the continent, its resources, what kind of leadership is needed to get people to see that there are things we can do away with for the better or for the common good of the entire continent?
One, a very good question. And I think we have seen some few changes, as you have said.
Yes.
And there is the consequences.
Yes.
They say that choices have consequences.
Yes.
One of the man who has decided, I will die if I die, is our president.
Yes.
Thanks to him.
Yes.
William Ruto. He has actually started now, engaging the African leaders. And actually speaking to them and telling them exactly what you have said. Look, we should be equal partners. We must be, even in the security, the council.
Yes.
We must be represented. Actually, I think he is one man who is he is liked and hated on the same measure.
Yeah.
When you go to the Western,
yes,
you find that this man is a man that is hated to the maximum.
Yes.
In the sense that he is making the giant, the lion, to start waking up.
Yes.
Because as you have said, the resources that we have in the Africa continent, if we were actually to come together, and they had done the divide and rule that you are talking about.
Yeah.
And you remember even the president, the other time he had also the discussion, and he was saying that we are not going to Europe for us to be taking some pictures.
Yes.
And to be lined up for us to be taking some pictures, and we go home with the photographs.
Yes.
And we actually tell people that we went to Europe.
Yeah.
We go there for a serious business. And I think it is starting now to get into people's mind. Because, let me tell you, and you have said it very well, the only continent right now in the world that is actually having resources sitting, which have not even been worked on, is actually Africa. Yeah. Why you find that many leaders from different countries, every other month, they are coming.
Yes.
They are going to Tanzania. They're going. Do you know why they are doing that? It is because they know exactly what is in our region. Another day, is it in Migori? A contractor was given some work to work on a road.
Yes.
And he brought materials. Within a short time,
Yes.
the locals started realizing this is not the normal construction material. There is gold inside here.
Yes.
And you saw them, actually several people actually earned some money. There are some guys who are able to see and to sight the gold.
Yes.
And very fast they stopped even the construction.
Yes.
And they said, look here, before you start doing all these things, we are going to dig. What you have done here, because there is gold in this place. And they started selling. One guy was in the TV and saying, I have made 12,000. You know? So what we are saying is there is a lot of resources and quite a number of people and many other, you know, like the developed countries. They already know what is in this country. The problem that we have is in Africa, we did not have a common stud, a common voice. So it is whereby someone comes and signs some few things with Kenya.
Yes.
And now from there, because Kenya is feeling like I am not like equal.
Yes.
You know what? They will listen to what we are being told. We will sign a document here, but it cannot be given to the world.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
So that at least they will be told, look here, you'll get a 15% or 10% out of the whole proceeds, which will happen here. But the 85% is going to be ours because we are the one who are going to bring the machineries and every other thing. But these guys, they have hit you hard.
Yes.
They are actually getting all your resources and getting them back to their country. And then after that, they give you loans, which are very expensive. By the way, you know, there is a time that I realized the dollars. Do you know how much percentage that these guys, if they are in their country, they would make even in just doing an investment in dollars? It is like a 2%. Then they come,
2%.
They come to Kenya and they are actually hitting you with 8% and all these things. You really look at what they are doing to the African people, it is not making them to expert. And we say the other thing, the problem with the political leaders, because even those are political in nature, they will never want you. There is what we call the law of lead. The lead. You know, he lead. Yes, the law of the lead. In fact, let me use this as an example here. You see this lead? When you put a lead, what you are saying is that you cannot go. What is beyond here? This. You cannot go beyond this. What these guys are doing, they are actually capping the African countries at a certain level. They put a lead. Ukijaribu kuinuka hivi, ukijaribu unafanywa hivi. You stay at the same position so that you will never discover exactly who you are. And they are very comfortable in us remaining not discovering ourselves. Because I can tell you, and this is one of the proper strategy that the president has come, and even South African, they have come up with this strategy. And they have said, when we are going to negotiate, we will negotiate as Africa. We will not negotiate as Kenya. Because they know if they come and then they negotiate from the Kenyan level, we are going to see we don't have a lot. But when we come to Africa, and we say our voice is centralized.
Just like the way the European Union negotiates as the European Union.
Sure. That is the way Africa now, and I can see it headed that direction. And that is the only way we are going to make these people to realize that we have a voice and we know what we have. Because I can tell you, in fact, I realized also another thing. Do you know like coal?
What coal?
Yes. I am telling you, Kenya is actually number one in terms of that deposit.
And why aren't we using it?
That is now where we are saying it is a time that Kenyans, like even us as leaders now, we start discovering what we have in this country. And now when we discover, because everything in Kenya, by the way, it is the best. Go to coffee. Number one. Do you know many countries are using, actually even the Europe and all that, they are using actually Kenyan tea to bread with their other coffee. Not coffee, actually coffee. To bread theirs so that it can have actually the qualities like the Kenyan tea, the Kenyan coffee. what we have actually in this country, it needs now, and I'm happy what I am seeing that the president is actually getting to. It is whereby we are going to say, and that's why he have said, and this week, I think the president has been very vocal.
Yes.
And he has said, we are going to deal with the cartels. Because you see what is happening right now, and it is the same thing that we were talking about, even the electricity.
Yes.
It is the same cartel that is even in the coffee and tea business, whereby you are finding that only some few individuals are controlling what is going to happen, even in terms of that market. And if you listened very carefully, the president said, we are going to pay like the 2 billion in this sector. And after we pay, we will deal with the cartels. You know, they will not hold us hostage again.
Yes.
We will actually pay what is supposed to be paid to the farmers and all these kind of things. And after that, we are going to deal with the cartels. There is no other, in fact, the government is so serious, there is no other time that we are going to use our coffee or our tea to bread any other. We are going to do it, and we are going to get the resources, and we are going to get the income that we are supposed to get. This is exactly what is happening. So I can see a change in terms of we want to do a different thing. And if we can allow this kind of strategies, I think we can benefit ourselves.
I like what you've said. You know, one of the things that a leader is supposed to do, a leader is supposed to get the best out of you. Look at Jesus, the best example. Takes a fisherman and gets the best out of Peter. Takes John, a fisherman also, gets the best out of them. These people are not educated at all. In fact, if you listen to the Pharisees and the Sanhedrin talking about them, they're saying, these guys, they are not educated, they are unschooled. But you listen and you look at the influence they impacted the entire world, and you're just amazed.
Correct.
It is because they found a leader, or a leader found them and was able to get the best out of them. France, maybe I will not be loved by the French, but France has been raping the Francophone countries, where they collect their taxes and they send it to France.
Correct.
And then France gives them the same as a loan. So it's a high time that leaders arose and did what leaders are supposed to do and cause this continent to actually awake and prosper. Why are we saying that? Because this is the Leadership Challenge show. We want to see, get the best out of you. Thank you very much. Do have yourself a lovely day. Don't forget that Daughters of the King will be coming up in a couple of minutes or so at around 11 or thereabout. So stick around. We got great stuff happening here. Thank you very much, Pastor David.
Thank you very much, Fred.
All right.
I appreciate